Hello, this is Chris with Peace of Mind Art and Crafts, and I'm back today with the third part of our series on how to make a mixed media collage on canvas. So the first lesson we learned how to do the background. Then the second we learned how to add paint and other things to the background. And now this third one, we're going to add a focal point and add a few more things to the background also, and then add a focal point and finish it up. So this is what I have so far. I'm just kind of auditioning it or trying it out to see how I want to do it. I originally had this picked as it's a magazine page for and back of the girl here. But I decided it's a bit too thin maybe to use the decoupage glue on, and so it might wrinkle up too much. So I'm not going to use that. Instead I'm going to use some scrapbook paper that's a little bit heavier. I've already glued the girl down to the flowers so I could get that arranged. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark where I want the bottom of this to go. And I think I'm just going to mark it with a pencil so that later on I can put it back. I'll mark the side and then the bottom. I'm going to take that off for a minute. Let's see where it is. And mark it just a little bit darker because I can't really see it super well. And so that mark won't show when I do glue it down, I can move it just a little bit down, and it'll be fine. So what I want to do now is I've picked some other papers to put behind this, and so I want to glue those down so I can kind of eyeball where this is going to go. I wanted this to go underneath here, so I'm going to pick it up gently so that I don't lose my placement too much. I can always go put it back down and see where I have the pieces arranged. Okay, so I'm going to take my Mod Podge. I have two brushes. I have just a small regular brush, and I have a foam brush, which I'm going to use to apply the Mod Podge. I can also use a glue stick, which I use a lot in my work. A glue stick is good for putting the layer down, but then you also need to go over the top of it with the Mod Podge. Okay, so I'm going to move a few things around here. Over here I have my glue book and my book that I use to put the paper on if I want to go around the edges with some ink to make it look older, to age it. And I have that over here. Okay, what I'm going to do first is glue this icon down over here. This is a piece of tissue paper. We also had some of these same tissue papers on the very bottom layer, so I'm just kind of bringing them up to accent them also. You'll see this paper that has lace in it. You'll see it right here and right here. Remember, we went over the edges also. And we'll continue to do that until we're finished. Just a little lump of, okay, yeah, I'm going to put that down. Squirt out a little glue. And get this edge over here glued down. Now doing this may activate some of the paint that's on here. If the paint dried and then I put a layer of Mod Podge over the top of it, that sort of protected it a bit so that the paint won't come through. But I don't really mind that if I pick up a little bit of the paint and bring it into the new piece that I'm applying on here. And it also will show through because it's a piece of tissue paper. So let's put this fleur-de-lis on over here. And remember when I talked about covering over some things? Not to worry because you'll probably cover over it anyway. And some of the things that you liked, maybe you covered over them. If you do cover over it, I noticed that when I put the girl on here, that I covered over the area that said Paris right here. And so I kind of liked that and I wanted to have it in there. So I'm going to put it over, I'm going to put it over here onto the side so I still get it there. And you don't have to put everything on completely straight. You can put everything, you can put some things on a diagonal or going the wrong way. I think I'll put this one kind of a little bit on a diagonal. So we make sure we see it. And even if we don't see it completely, we'll have the general gist of it. And also those song lyrics that I had over here, some of them will show through, which is nice. I liked those showing through. Okay. I'm going to continue to work here. If any time you feel like you want to speed up the video, go right ahead. And then you can see what I'm doing. Maybe it's a little bit too long for you. And I do that all the time if I'm watching a video and I kind of have a time limit. I'll speed through it until I want to see a certain part, and then I'll stop it and watch it and then speed through it till she gets a part done and then go on from there. Okay, I'm gonna measure that. Put this down. Once again, it doesn't matter if it's straight or not. That's not gonna be a big deal. But I arranged it so that the girl and the flower are a little bit over to the right, not exactly right in the middle. It just adds something to it if it's not completely centered. I know that in beginning art, people have a tendency to have everything, go in a straight line or be in the center, but actually, if you try something on the side or not on the center, it often turns out to be more interesting. Okay, I'm going to place this back down here where I've got my mark. See how that's working out. I'll put this one up here. See how that works. Be good. key of Paris came off on here. So like that happens all the time. It's not a big deal. Sorry, I'm still leaning in sometimes and showing the top of my head on these videos. Like I said, the last one, I'm just a beginner. Please bear with me while I learn how to keep my head and keep it frame and so on. Okay. Oops. This part also came up. I'll try to get that back down there. Okay. So I'm going to try to do this side without I just wanted to put these pieces of tissue paper that look like there's lace in them. I wanted to have those peeking out from behind her to look like lace. Okay. You'll notice I still don't have her glued all the way down, so that's what I'm going to do next. Glue her down to the rest of the rows here. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'll bring this over so you can see it. I'm going to put the Mod Podge on the back of the photo of the woman and the roses. I need to make sure that there's not any glue on here, wet glue on here. There's some dried glue, but not any wet glue, because I don't want to get the front of it wet because it might tear some of the image off. So I need to be kind of careful there. I could also, if this was thinner, I might use my glue stick on it, but it's fairly heavy, so I think it should be all right and not wrinkle as bad. Okay. Let's bring my canvas back in. And remember that little line that I made before. I'm going to place it down on there. I'm gonna make sure it's straight here. So this goes, yeah, this will fit up here. That's what I needed to check also. And I'll probably need to lift these places up and put glue on down underneath them in some of the areas. And then once again, if you don't want to get any paint on her, then make sure that you're checking that there isn't any paint on your sponge coming off from the background. And that you can fix by adding somewhat of a layer of a last layer over the top of your paint and let it dry. Okay, and this is like holding down, so I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm glad I use this heavier paper, this heavier rose paper, because This one, like I said, it was a little bit too flimsy, and sometimes if I was just going on the blank canvas, it would work a lot better, but sometimes over the top of some of the texture, it's too lumpy already, and the lumps will show through too much onto that magazine paper. And I can turn it around and work on it. Just because something is right side up doesn't mean you can't turn your work and work on it from a different angle where you can see it better. Now this is when the foam brush is good because it won't leave quite as many streaks as a regular brush would, especially in her face and in the photograph. Okay. Should we put this down also? Okay. Another thing you can do with your old gift card or credit card that's expired. I usually don't use a credit card. I usually cut those up, but like a gift card from Michael's, is you can burnish it down with that. Be gentle, especially if you've got thin paper. This helps burnish it down and take away any lumps that might be in it. You can see the canvas is kind of moving slightly. I can see over here there's not enough under here, so I'm going to try to pull it up just a little bit. You'll notice right here I tore it a little bit. Don't worry about that. That'll just go right back into place. And that'll even make it look a little older, which we're going to do in a minute. Okay. Okay, I'm not quite finished yet with the background. I'll add a few more things in the background. But I kind of wanted to, let's see if I'm in frame. It looks all right.